Xander falls into a dramatic clash for power and revenge on Days of Our Lives. The long-simmering feud between Xander and Phillip has finally reached a boiling point, and the fallout threatens to shake the very foundations of the Titan Empire. What began as a subtle game of deception and betrayal has erupted into a brutal and dangerous power struggle, one that could land Xander behind bars and strip him of everything he holds dear, including the entire Titan Corporation. The seeds of betrayal and revenge. For years, the brothers have been locked in a tangled web of lies, resentment, and fierce rivalry. Phillip's treachery was no secret to Xander. The lies, the cheating, and the covert moves to wrest control of Xander's fortune had already set the stage for an inevitable confrontation. But it was the audacious theft of Versavix, a company poised for enormous profits, that pushed Xander over the edge. This was no longer a mere power play or boardroom betrayal. This was a direct assault on Xander's livelihood and legacy. Fueled by rage, Xander's response was brutal and unrelenting. In a violent outburst, he beat Phillip to near death, a shocking act that has rippled throughout Salem. Though Xander attempted to escape the aftermath, the evidence was damning: bruised knuckles, frantic behavior, and witnesses like Maggie who noticed the telltale signs. Even more damning was the fact that Kate, the shrewd and determined partner to Phillip, knew every secret the brothers had been trying to bury. And then there was Jada, fully aware of Xander's dark and troubled past. A web of secrets and unspoken truths. While the physical evidence and witness testimonies painted a grim picture for Xander, the true complexity lay beneath the surface. Phillip's fate depended heavily on whether he would press charges. Yet, with recent displays of remorse, it seemed unlikely that Phillip would want to further fuel the fire by involving the law. After all, what good would it do? Phillip's silence might be his shield and, in some twisted way, his chance at survival. The day Xander dragged a battered and unconscious Phillip back to the Salem Inn remains a pivotal moment, one that could have shattered any chance of reconciliation. But the stakes extend far beyond a personal vendetta. Even if Phillip ended up in jail, it would not guarantee Xander's victory. The impending merger between Demera and Titan hung precariously in the balance, and Phillip's fraudulent dealings threatened to expose and unravel everything. A legal judgment that granted Phillip his share of Titan could be overturned, leaving both brothers with nothing but ashes. The battle for control and the shadow of silence, the real war, then, is not just about who holds the legal documents or who walks free. It's about who controls the narrative, the company, and the future. If Phillip keeps quiet and recovers, he might find a way to maintain some semblance of control, even if it means running the company from afar, from separate buildings, states, or even countries. For Phillip, the idea of being alone in a room with Xander again is a nightmare too terrifying to face. Phillip's whispered words before losing consciousness, "Sarah knew," hint at deeper betrayals yet to come. Was Sarah complicit in the secrets and scams that have so deeply fractured these relationships? Could she have known the dark path Phillip and Xander were on? Or was she simply a pawn caught in their dangerous game? Kate, the calculating force ready to strike. While Phillip's response remains uncertain, Kate's resolve could not be clearer. Kate is no stranger to high-stakes battles and ruthless power plays. Her credibility as a suspect in EJ's shooting, stemming from threats against her sons, only adds fuel to her fierce determination to bring Xander down. Xander didn't just threaten Phillip, he brutalized him. And Kate is not the type to let such an offense slide quietly. Her desire for justice, or perhaps revenge, has only hardened in the face of violence. Kate holds cards that could shatter Xander's world. If necessary, she won't hesitate to reveal Sarah's long-hidden secret, that Sarah kept Phillip's fraudulent scheme under wraps from almost the very beginning. Worse still, Maggie discovered the truth but chose to keep it from Xander. Alex's ignorance could be forgiven given his distant relationship with Xander, but Sarah and Maggie's silence stings deeper. The power of truth and the threat of destruction. With a few well-chosen words, Kate could not only destroy Xander's business empire but also tear apart his family, isolating him from those he loves and trusts most. She could expose the cracks in his marriage, reveal the betrayals that lurk behind closed doors, and leave him utterly alone. Kate is a force to be reckoned with. She is tangled with the likes of Stefano and Victor, formidable opponents in their own right, and has emerged victorious in battles both in the bedroom and the boardroom. Xander is no exception. She can and will handle him. The high stakes of a dangerous game, however, This is a dangerous game with potentially catastrophic consequences. Xander once nearly killed Phillip when he had everything to lose. Stripped of power and support, a desperate and cornered Xander could become a wild card, unpredictable and ruthless. Kate's actions could provoke a ferocious retaliation from a man with nothing left to lose, a man capable of sinking to the depths of darkness he once inhabited. The question remains, will Kate be able to outmaneuver a man who has proven time and again that he is capable of anything? Yesterday's gripping episode of Days of Our Lives delivered a heart-wrenching and intense confrontation that left viewers reeling and deeply unsettled. The long-simmering tension between brothers Xander and Phillip exploded in a violent and brutal attack, marking a pivotal moment in their fraught relationship and casting dark shadows over the once powerful Salem family legacy. The attack, a brother's rage unleashed. The scene unfolded in the dimly lit room of the Salem Inn, where Phillip found himself at the mercy of his own brother, Xander. Phillip, battered and bleeding, struggled desperately to escape the relentless assault. With bruises already darkening his face and blood trickling from a cut on his forehead, Phillip crawled weakly across the cold floor, trying to put distance between himself and the fury that pursued him. But Xander was merciless. Each blow landed with devastating force, and he kicked Phillip repeatedly, showing no signs of mercy or hesitation. As Phillip gasped for air, barely able to shield himself, Xander leaned down, his voice cold and dripping with contempt. The words he spoke cut deeper than any physical wound. "There's no way to save you now, Phillip. You're pathetic. Victor's ashamed of you, ashamed of what you've become. You've ruined this family, and God knows how many others have had to cover for your mistakes." This was not just a beating, it was an emotional and psychological attack. Xander's fury was fueled by years of resentment, disappointment, and betrayal. His brother was no longer just the man he hated. He was the symbol of everything that had gone wrong in their family. Dragging the broken man after mercilessly beating Phillip into unconsciousness, Xander dragged his battered brother back to the bed in the same room. The cold reality of the moment settled in as Phillip lay motionless, bruised beyond recognition, and barely breathing. Yet, even in his semi-conscious state, Phillip's lips moved faintly, uttering a name that would add another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama. "Sarah?" "Knows." Before anyone could react, Phillip passed out completely, his body limp and broken. Xander, wiping the sweat and blood from his brow, stood over Phillip one last time. With a voice that brooked no argument, he declared that he never wanted to see Phillip again. The finality of those words lingered heavily in the room. The phone discovery and Kate's horror, but Xander's violent night was far from over. After ensuring Phillip was lying on the bed, he noticed Phillip's phone resting nearby. Curiosity, or perhaps suspicion, drove him to grab the device. What he saw made his heart race and his mind spiral with new, dangerous possibilities. Seconds after Xander's discovery, Kate arrived at the Salem Inn, drawn by a mother's instinct and dread. The sight that greeted her was horrific. Her son, Phillip, beaten and unconscious. Her scream echoed through the hallway, a raw sound of panic and heartbreak. Returning home, bloody knuckles and lingering questions, Xander fled the Salem Inn, making his way home with bloody knuckles throbbing from the violence he had just unleashed. There, Maggie found him, concern immediately written across her face. "What happened to you?" she asked softly, eyeing his swollen fists. Xander quickly fabricated an excuse, something vague and unconvincing about a deal that fell through. But Maggie, perceptive and no stranger to the darker undercurrents of Salem, pressed further. "Why did you run away from Sarah?" she questioned, sensing there was more to the story. Xander's reply was equally guarded, but he couldn't hide his tension. "There's a lot going on. She has questions for me, and I have a few to ask her too." The aftermath. Sarah and Jada's concern. Meanwhile, back at the Salem Inn, Sarah informed Kate and Jada about Phillip's condition. Though stable, Phillip had sustained serious internal injuries, a fact that shocked everyone present. The violence was not superficial, it had done real, lasting damage. Jada, sharp and determined, wasted no time in focusing on the key question on everyone's minds: where's Xander? The answer was all too clear. Xander's motive for the assault was evident, and suspicions about what had driven him to such extreme measures began to swirl. A family torn apart, this episode starkly illuminated the fragility of family bonds when tested by betrayal, anger, and long-standing grievances. Xander's brutal attack on Phillip is more than a clash between two brothers. It's a reflection of deep wounds within the Salem family itself. The night's events leave viewers with many pressing questions. What exactly did Xander discover on Phillip's phone? How will Kate cope with the trauma of seeing her son so badly hurt? And most importantly, what consequences will Xander face for his violent actions? The story promises to unravel with increasing drama in the days to come, as Salem's tangled family secrets continue to spill into the open, threatening to destroy everything in their path.